Well, I want to take you back to the mid-'70s, and I know this is gray, but I mean the 1970s, not the 1870s. Into a classroom about the size of, from that edge of the frame to just about where Bill is sitting. And picture two teachers, one there, one over here, and about 20 students with learning disabilities. I'm sitting over here. That was the first time we were put together, and we had to be put together because the school had overgrown and there was no way around it. We were going to start teaming up. I wasn't sure how that was going to work because I'd never worked with anybody before. Wow, it was one of the best experiences I ever had, because when I'm working with the kids and I can't get a thought across, a concept across, I can ask Ms. Starcher, and vice versa. Kids like that too. They'd stop me midway. I haven't made a mistake, but say, why don't we get Ms. Starcher over here? Thank you very much. Well, we also saw that the kids were having a lot of problems in science class, of course, because they're required to read and do math and everything else. And we said, you know, this isn't working well. Why don't we take the same idea and go out into that classroom with the science teachers and work with them? We didn't know what we were doing other than we're addressing the kids' needs. And it worked. About 10 years later, we learned the word was inclusion, cooperative teaching, mainstreaming, and a whole bunch of other terms. And wow, we're kind of ahead of our time, aren't we? And life is good. It did work out well. The kids were better off, the kids were happier, the teacher says, this is great, we can work with you. We did not feel like an aide or an assistant. We really felt like we were part of the team, and we were very pleased with that. A few years later, and a couple jobs later, I was fortunate to take a position at the State Department of Education. And a few years after that, we were provided funding and technical service from the federal government to bring students back from out-of-state programming into the home districts, taking kids from special schools and bringing them in to their home schools, and taking those students in home schools and putting them in the general ed class. So far, so good. See? I'm feeling good here. The problem is, with anything new, there are people out there, we call them skeptics, to their faces, behind their backs, something else. And they were naysayers saying, you know what's going to happen? Those kids are going to be put in the class and nobody's going to help the teachers and they're just going to lose. Their needs are never going to be met, and they're going to fail. Rumors travel faster than fact. So what we did was take maybe 40 people from across the state, teachers, principals, school superintendents, and a legislator, agency personnel, to a university far, far away. Anything over 50 miles is far, far away. And they got to listen to the people who were leading this idea. Of course, I'm sitting there going, yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me. I'm going to do this again. Got to be careful. And in addition to just hearing professors talk and researchers talk, they got to go out to the schools where their peers were. So superintendents are talking to superintendents. Different story. Teachers to teachers, principals to principals, and going, they're not kidding us, maybe this will work. And so we come back home. And so we start populating across the district programs that are doing the very same thing we're talking about. Oh, this feels really good. Even better than that, now we have homegrown programs, so people don't have to travel 1,000 miles. They can go 25 miles and they can talk to their peer group or call them up and say, this is a bunch of malarkey, right? Parents can talk to parents. We made that avenue available, and it worked. I'm running out of air. But the kid here is feeling good. So, and that continues through the state, and it was going across the nation shortly after that, and you're all familiar with the concepts. But going through that was a thrill, it really was. Finally, a position as a director of special education, student services, opened up, and I took that position. Oh man, this is great. Now I can get out of the ivory tower, and work with the teachers and the kids. No, I'm not going to blow this up. But there's a big smile there, or there should be, okay? I'm a happy camper. So I go to the first IEP meeting at the high school. Oh, I knew about the school district. I knew they were into inclusion at the elementary level and thinking this is really great. We'll just expand this. It'll be wonderful. Are you ahead of me? Went to the first IEP at the high school. Sorry, drying out. And Mom's talking about her son, who's about 17 years old. His name's Jeremy, and he's very low functioning. I don't think he had any reading skills, and math was maybe a one-to-one correspondence. Mom recognized that and said, you know, folks, what I'd like to see is a vocational program here, because he's going to be leaving the school in about 3 or 4 years. Can we do that? Can we set that up and really prepare him to be functional? I don't want him in a program that's removed from other people. Without hesitation, the teacher says, oh, we don't do that here. That is how I felt, okay? All that work, I guess the message hadn't gotten to the high school yet. And so what I'm sharing this story is, and telling you is, the school wasn't caring much about that kid's needs. They were ignoring it. They were more focused on theirs. And I want to share some stories with you that highlight the good and the bad of that. I want to talk about Brent, who's 12 years old, and Brent has very limited language. He has a lot of issues, health issues, and he has cerebral palsy. So he has limited movement, and he can't do this, but he can kind of do this. And at home, at 12, we're talking about puberty now, he's growing up. He's a bit frustrated, and showing his frustration, he's banging the walls, he's yelling, he's screaming, he's throwing things. Parents said, you know what the issue is? He just can't tell us what his needs are. I see the heads, you know where we're going. So about the same time, they were at a friend's house, and their daughter was using something called a Dynavox. I'm not trying to sell the product, but it's a communication system to where she could point to things, and she could, as her language grew, the system grew, and it grew along with her, and it would give voice. So now we're hearing sounds to pictures that we see. What Brent had been using was simply pictures. And so every time there was a new word or a new need, you'd have to come up with another picture. And how many pictures can you put all over the place? And you know what is it, the iPads can do this now for us. They do the same thing. And they said, we're going to take this to the school. We'll tell them it works. For over here, we want it for our kid. And the school will say, no problem. Nay, nay. School says to the parents, well, why is this better than what we're using here? Stop the parents dead in their tracks. We didn't know what to say. So they went home, and they're not going to let that get in the way. So they bought this piece of equipment, which was like $5,000 back then, a lot of money, you know, a lot of money. And they videotaped, and they showed it worked. His frustrations went down because now he could say, not only am I hungry, he had a variety of choices to say, this is the food I want, and very large pictures because he was limited. Take the video back to the school, this will do it. School says, nay, nay. Let us try it here and see if it works. Fine. We know that it'll work, so take your 30 days, do the trial, we're all for that, and we'll come back and re-meet. 30 days comes and goes. Meet with the school. School says, nope, didn't work. What? We showed you a video. We all agreed. We could see that it's working. What did you do? Well, what they did was show pictures for him to point to that were small. He can't do that with this. You got the idea. Undeterred, they went to the director of special education and said, here's our problem. The school said, you know, there's not enough time to do another 30-day trial. We'll have to wait till next year. Director said, no, we're going to go back. We're going to have the meeting. And they got the Dynavox. The two examples I gave you have the thing in common is that the focus was not on the kids' needs. In the first case, it was on the school needs. On the second case, it was really more of the institutional needs, the policies, the regulations, that we have to do this, that, and the other thing. Another story I want to share with you is a little guy named Dane, who's 3 years old. and he's going to enter school for the first time. Mom is an attorney. Mom comes prepared. She has report after report after report, diagnosis after diagnosis after diagnosis, and every one of those has a statement of what Dane needs, because Mom told the physicians what to put in the report. Already you suspect we're addressing Mom's needs and not the child's, and you're right. The result of that was at the first meeting, I think Mom thought it was a collaborative meeting because the school agreed with everything, but I really think the school said, Esquire, attorney, we'll just go with you on this. And they did. And in about 2 months, problems occurred. Mom wasn't happy with the development of speech. The only thing she wanted was to hear him say, Mommy, I can't default her for that. That's more than fair. He didn't have the skills to do that. The school should have said something to Mom and explained that to her, but she's left with false expectations. Sorry. I was going to say I drink all the time, but I don't think I want that recorded. Can you remove that? So 2 months later, Mom's searching around for another program. She finds one with 15 speech-language pathologists. I know you think I'm making this up. I'm not. The school had one. She's blaming the speech-language pathologist for not making her son be able to say Mommy. The school says, fine, we'll go. I'm giving you the short version here. A month later, the child is screaming, yelling. He's not happy whatsoever. Mom, not waiting for the school, goes out and gets an independent evaluation and brings the report back. The report says 2 things. One, this new program is asking your son to do things that he's incapable of doing. No wonder he's frustrated. And then defines the program he should be in. That's right, the program he was in before. So we're back there. Clearly, we're focusing again on Mom's needs, institutional needs, with the teacher's needs, and we get the same result. As long as we're not addressing the child's needs, the child's not going to make, progress. We need a happy story. This one's Ariel. And I have the names written down because I'm not allowed to use the real names, you know. And Ariel's a cutie kid, but she can't read either. I mean, her reading is like 3 years below. In math, she's just struggling. Socially, she's not adept at working with other children. Very briefly, Mom goes to the school, says, using your own reports, you can see that she's not making progress. This program we developed, for those who know, it's called an IEP. We're not meeting the goals that we said we were going to achieve. Your program's not working. She's doing this politely. Can we please look at another program? Nope. That's what we have. That's what we'll use. Let me try this again. Are you looking at the data? Yep. We're happy with what we're doing. All right, this is really bad. She goes to an advocate to work with. The advocate's kind of close friends with the director. That avenue didn't work. She goes to 2 other attorneys because the child's needs are, again, put aside. 2 other attorneys who say, it's good enough. I think they didn't think they'd get enough money for the lawsuit. Very sad. So I'm kind of with Mom throughout this year. Long story short, she decides to move someplace else. Sometimes that's what you have to do. Believe it or not, you just have to leave and say, I've tried everything I can possibly do. I played the right game. I used the rules. I brought in people I thought would help me. Nothing. She goes to the new school, presents everything she has, and the teacher says, well, we can do that. This is what we'll do to address her reading. This is what we can do to address math. And social skills, oh, you're going to love this program. In fact, we'll change it a little so that we can meet Ariel's needs. Just recently, I got a report and I stayed in touch with Mom. Ariel's on reading level. Whoa, actually she almost did it in 1.5 years. Math, she's still having some problems with. And I always forget this word. Mom posted a video of Ariel at a talent show, dancing, happy. So when you meet the child's needs, you are successful when you have a happy kid. When you ignore them because of your needs or a teacher's needs or institutional needs, it doesn't happen. I want to mention very quickly that these stories are in a book I wrote called When the School Says No, How to Get the Yes, which is really, I mean, this is the short part of it, and then along with 9 other stories, but shows how if schools work collaboratively with parents and vice versa, how the yes can be put into place and the child's needs met, and you get that happy face. So, in closing, I want to ask you one question, or perhaps two. Where would you be, and more importantly, who would you be, if every time you expressed your needs, your parents, your teachers, your friends, your college professors, your peers, your boss, your colleagues, and your loved ones all said, "We don't do that here"? There's another answer, and you know it. And if you do, this is the face. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Well done.
Did you want to do something?
That was gorgeous.
She's strong.